Melbourne's West has been the home of Victoria University for over a century. The West of Melbourne Charter formalises the bond VU has with our heartland and publicly commits to a set of core commitments. It will inform and continue VU's work with the 7 local government areas, along with key industry and community partners. Through the Charter, VU is forging a future pathway with a renewed focus and commitment to Melbourne's West. We are creating true value and opportunities for our local communities as an innovative, leading education provider that collaborates with local communities to create true value and opportunity. And we look forward to further strengthening our connection to Melbourne's West. I'm pleased to officially launch the West of Melbourne Charter, and I would like to introduce Peter Dawkins, Liz Beattie and Jim Williamson, who will be talking about the Charter's important commitment. Over to them.
Thanks, Gaye. I'm Peter Dawkins, Vice-Chancellor of Victoria University, and I'm joined by Liz Beattie, Member of the University Council, who chairs our West of Melbourne Advisory Committee, and Jim Williamson, who's a member of that West of Melbourne Advisory Committee, and also the Chair of Lead West, which represents all of the local government areas in the West of Melbourne, which are key partners of the University and very much partners that we see for our West of Melbourne Charter. Through the VUA, we've transformed our teaching and learning at Victoria University through the block model, through modern teaching and learning in the Polytechnic, which means that students from the West of Melbourne get an outstanding education, either vocational education or higher education, that prepares them to be skilled for jobs, to be prepared for life, and their performance, their satisfaction, their success is really going up under the VUA, and more students are choosing to come to Victoria University. That's going to be great for the West and for our reputation of having a great university and producing outstanding graduates.
Yeah, certainly about the VU way, Peter. I think it's become very well established in recent years, and particularly the block model. This has been very well accepted, and it's something that's an innovation in the West and well recognised internationally now.
Oh, thanks, Jim. And Liz?
Well, the VU way is always West and always ethical, and it transforms lives, and the block model has been an outstanding success and is a testament, if you like, to the VU way. And it's certainly out in the suburbs, it's talked about. Students are talking about the block model, and that's what I love to hear. Victoria University has a range of campuses right across the West of Melbourne, and those campuses just aren't learning spaces, they're community spaces and they're community destinations. As you know, Peter, as well as anybody else, our students are from a range of diverse backgrounds, and they feel welcome in those VU spaces. They feel welcome, they feel appreciated, and they feel safe. And of course, we have that great range of partnerships with local organisations, and I know the Western Bulldogs is probably the most high profile of those partnerships, but a lot of other partnerships that we talk about, partnerships with the local councils that we value very much, and also partnerships with Lead West and other organisations, our growing Brimbank scheme, and of course the Ramsay Foundation, all of which are very important to our students. So it's a long-term, VU is a long-term effect on students' lives.
Absolutely, yes. So those partnerships are very important, and you mentioned the Western Bulldogs. There's Western Health, of course, and it's often said Western Health, Western Bulldogs, VU are the 3 kind of iconic institutions of the West of Melbourne, but you mentioned a lot of others, and of course the local government areas are very important partners to the university, and Lead West represents all of those. Jim?
Certainly, I think people forget that the western suburbs of Melbourne now comprises 1 million people, and it's an area that's, or a geography that's the size of the city of Adelaide. And I think they also forget that there's more than 100 suburbs, to pick up on your point, Liz, about just how many groups are represented out here. And possibly one of the best ways to recognise the links into the community is to come along to a graduation ceremony, and you'll see all these different cultures and histories represented. And the way I describe it is you might as well be at the United Nations. VU, we need to remember, has been here effectively for 100 years. And so I can only talk for 40 of that. And in that 3 or 4 decades that I've seen, the West has grown from a community of around 300,000 or 400,000 up to around 1 million. And it is a very diverse community, but it's also a very young one. And this social element has been a really key aspect of Vic Uni in making sure it provides courses and programs that are geared there. Equally, the university, and before in its many manifestations, it's made sure that it's been closely aligned with industry and business. And more recently, there's been a strong focus on research. So if you go to the Werribee campus, or if you're out at the Sunshine campus with the Polytechnic, there's a strong focus on research that's directly connected to the community and the well-being of industry. And in more recent times, I think we're also starting to get recognition around international recognition for elements like research, and particularly in business studies and those sorts of elements, covering from Werribee right through the Arc, through to Sunshine, coming into the Footscray and into the city as well. So over a very long time, but also in more recent times, it's done a fantastic job at meeting the social and economic needs of the community.
I think there's no doubt, Peter, that the West is going to be the real powerhouse of Victoria. We see the big projects happening in Victoria, and VU is well placed to provide students for all those big projects. So we're the beating heart of the growth of the West, and I see really wonderful things happening in the West. Once upon a time, people talked about the West as though it was if you like, a poorer relative. But now people are really choosing to come to the West of Melbourne, and VU's providing that beating heart. And we're going to, in the western suburbs, we are going to be the real powerhouse of reinvigorating Victoria's economy post-COVID. So our students are well placed, particularly because we have a dual sector university, and they've got pathways to different careers.
Absolutely, and one of the other great things about the West of Melbourne is that the state government has designated a number of priority precincts, and we have Footscray, we have Sunshine, we have Werribee, hopefully in due course Melton, and Victoria University is present, of course, as major presence in Footscray, Sunshine, Werribee, hopefully in due course Melton, and we see ourselves playing an important leadership and partnership role in fostering these exciting innovation, employment and cultural precincts.
Well, we've got a diverse population, as we've talked about before. People from over 100 countries come to Victoria University, and they find it welcoming. That's what they find it. If they perhaps go to other places, they don't find it as welcoming as we do at VU. That's not only reflected in the students, it's also reflected in the staff as well. There's also our international focus with Timor-Leste. We've had a long association with Timor-Leste, and that will continue. And students and staff see this commitment to those causes, and they want to be part of it. They want to be part of that, and that's the VU way. It's like, I'm loath to say it, but we are a VU family.
Absolutely. Jim, any reflections?
Just really quickly, just the extent to which the West of Melbourne does reflect an international comparison. You would go to a lot of other universities or other parts of the world, and you'd see this cosmopolitan element to it. And I think it's just such a striking element, and reflects not just that we're important to Melbourne, and historically, as you were saying, Liz, around the respect that's here for our Aboriginal traditions. I think it's also that we've got this incredible blend between 60,000 years of history 100 years at the university, and there's 100 cultures, and all these elements have come together here since we've been able to get the university and make all those other links to key industry and community agencies, and particularly local councils who understand this as well.
Sort of cultural diversity is really at the essence of the new Australia, doesn't it? And VU epitomises that more than any other university that I've ever been at. And those sort of cross-cultural skills that people will need for the future, I think VU is a great place to foster those skills and that cross-cultural understanding with our Indigenous community, with all of those many cultures. International students add a dimension, but they're not as conspicuous as they are in many other universities because of the huge cultural diversity of the whole student population, and that's just such an exciting and vibrant place to be.
And Jim talked about the graduations, and it's just so joyful to be at those graduations. I remember one graduation where there was a young man, obviously from a different nation, and he kissed his certificate.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so touching and how much it meant to him.
So in the 21st century, people are going to need a wide variety of skills and capabilities, critical thinking, teamwork, as well as specific skills related to particular occupations or industries. And we at Victoria University promote that range of skills for the future through both higher education and vocational education in a way that's accessible to the whole population. Any student from any background we cater for through our full array of tertiary education to foster those skills for the 21st century and prepare students to be work ready, tech ready and life ready. And Jim, did you have any thoughts on that?
Look, there's just no doubt about it that the way in which the university, and particularly the fact that it's a dual sector, tertiary organisation with a strong polytechnic component, it's right in there in terms of leadership around cyber security and looking at sort of contemporary issues around vaccines. It's at the forefront of a lot of these things that are around future jobs, but also giving the people who come here and drawing from right across Victoria a big role in future making, not just being in future ready.
I think the students display great flexibility in their learning, and I think the block model assists, it lays a good foundation for that, so that they're flexible, they will have a number of careers throughout their lifetime, and VU and the VU staff prepare them very well for that. And I've got to give a shout out to our staff here because they have been adaptable. They swung over to the block model and really led the way in teaching the block model. So a big shout out to our staff, and that's trickling down, if you like, to our students. It's been wonderful to be a part of that and know the block model and how much difference it's making to people's lives.
So Victoria University's focus on planetary health incorporates a whole range of the sort of sustainable development goals that exist from the United Nations in a place-based way. In the West of Melbourne, we need the West of Melbourne to be livable, sustainable, we need a healthy population, all of that sort of embedded in planetary health. And our research institutes and our teaching programs are trying to work together in a multidisciplinary way to ensure place-based planetary health across our whole region, and that really adds to the moral purpose of Victoria University. Liz, you've observed this planetary health initiative, and have you any thoughts on it?
I have, and I think you've nailed it when you say space, it's hard to say, place-based planetary health, because it's what we do in our everyday lives, and it's what the university does in its procurement practices and things like that, really little things that will make this planet a better place, and it starts with those little things. So we can move on to the big picture, but we've got to get the little things right, and our researchers are really going to show us the way with that. and they'll take the lead on that. So,
Terrific.
an exciting project.
Absolutely. Jim, any thoughts?
Yeah, just similarly, I think there's been a strong focus on value adding and economics here at the university, and equally on social inclusion and diversity, cultural programs. But I do think the university's been layering the elements around sustainability and economic growth and what I might call earth literacy. That's become a much stronger component of the university in the time that I've been associated with it.
Yeah, and there's a strong connection between that sort of environmental sustainability and human health, and a good place to live and work is also has got strong environmental value too, and we're seeing those connections more and more. And in the west of Melbourne, which actually is warmer than the east of Melbourne, and one that struggles with things like chronic disease, all of these things need to come together in an integrated strategy to improve the lives and well-beings of the people and the environments that they operate in. And VU sees it as a key role for us to play in research and education, and working with industry and community to make that all happen.
Thank you, Victoria University, for your contribution and commitment to the West of Melbourne for more than 100 years. In launching this West of Melbourne Charter, you are placing the university at the heart of Melbourne's West, and also renewing your commitment to work with the communities and industries that ensure the West of Melbourne students are fully equipped with the knowledge, skills and capabilities to be the creators of a sustainable and vibrant future for Melbourne's West. And we have shown in the West that when we work together, we are successful together and we can make great things happen. I am very excited and delighted about the future of the West of Melbourne. Thank you for watching.